I think we're live. Hello. Hello, you gorgeous, gorgeous ladies. It's Katie here. And I'm so glad to be with you for another lesson from the Self-Love Affair. So hopefully, if you're following these lessons, you have been for a while, you've got a copy of the book, the Bible, that a lot of my clients call it. It's actually amazing how clients from years ago get in touch with me and tell me that they're going back through the book again. You know, I think it really is. It's a great first step on your personal and spiritual development journey. And it's a tool that you can, keep going back to, go back again and again and again. Good people are joining. Thank you. I have this weird sense that I can't be heard. I don't know why. I'm just, if you could let me know if you're on and you're live with me, just let me know you can hear me and see me really clearly. So it kind of has me feel super confident that I'm not speaking to nobody. Thank you. Yeah, so as I was saying, and I'll wait for you guys to comment, and I'm seeing you're joining. Yeah, hey, Karina, beautiful. Good morning from Long Beach. You've just received the book. Brilliant. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so you can obviously see me and hear me, Karina, so that's awesome. And Anna Marie, all good, brilliant. Okay, we're rocking. I can see you and hear you. Good, 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 good. Actually, hey Tina, thank you, darling. I'm so glad. Okay, well, I can just breathe and relax. Drink my I'm on chamomile tea. Do you know why? Because I've had 2 caffeinated coffees today, and I haven't had any caffeine for over 2 months, and my heart's racing because of the caffeine. So I thought for this call, I better calm myself down and have some super chilled chamomile. Anyway, as I was saying, I've got clients, and actually some of you might already be joining the call. You are these clients who go back through this book again and again because it is an ongoing tool, and our lives change. And as I'm going to teach, and what will come up on the teaching today, is we are spiritual beings, and we're always evolving and growing. As you know, we are energy by nature, as everything is, and energy always is shifting, and we always have the choice to expand or to shrink. Now, you are here in this community because I know you desire to expand. You might even have a sense that you have been shrinking for a while and you're ready to say no more to that. So because you are energetic, because of your spiritual nature, you're always wanting to expand and grow. So a book, I don't know, can you see? Oh, there we go. There you go. A book like this allows you to expand and grow, and it allows you to keep checking in with the truth of who you are. Keep checking in with you as you go to your next level. Because I know for me, when I first did work like this 10 years ago, and when I revisit it now, the woman that did it 10 years ago to the woman who's doing it now is actually a very different woman. She's incredibly evolved. And yet the teachings are the same. So Katie today, as opposed to Katie 10 years ago, she still wants to expand. She still wants to go to her next level. She still gets beliefs that sabotage her. She still gets emotional pieces that she wants to master. And she still wants to manifest and call in her deepest desires at a whole new level. So the tools in here help me to do that. Like, I am a student of this work. Totally a student of it. In fact, doing these calls every week is brilliant because it's having me read my own book. In fact, the other day I listened to one of my own YouTube videos. If you've not hooked into it, I have a YouTube channel called Daring and Mighty TV, and a friend of mine the other day was reminding me of a very particular video I did all about when it's time to hustle. And she's like, I love that video, and she was explaining why. And some stuff came up for me last week, and if you're following me on Facebook, you'll know all about it, and I might touch on that later in the call. But I needed to hear what I was teaching in that lesson, in that it's time to hustle video. So I was actually tuning in to my own voice and my own teachings to remind me of what I needed in that moment. And quite frankly, this is the piece of being human. Our humanness actually has us forget time and time again what is true. what are the fundamental universal laws? We forget that's our humanness, and we have to keep reminding ourselves. Books like mine help to remind you. I go back to my own book, to my work, to all of the teachings in there, which, by the way, aren't unique. They're not new. I don't claim to own them. It's universal. A lot of different people are teaching concepts similar, perhaps exactly the same, but in their own unique way. And bear with me, because my mail is popping up continuously with messages and it's very distracting. So I'm going to quit out. There we go. Brilliant. So I go back to my own stuff. My clients keep going back to it. So if you've not got the book, grab it. And if you have it, then great. Open up to, we're working for this lesson. We're actually working from pretty much page 41 onwards. This is the chapter, and it's all about the 6 universal human needs. And this information genuinely changed my life when I first heard it. The first time I heard it, I was actually in coaching in London. And my coach then told me about the 6 universal human needs. And she learned them from Tony Robbins. And I really recommend, if this training today speaks to you or inspires you, then when I finish, then go and Google Tony Robbins 6 universal human needs and have a listen to what he has to say about it. Because again, he's another of many people teaching this work. And he does it in his way. And I think his way is really profound. And I'm a bit of a Tony Robbins fan. And I think if I'm understanding it correctly, Tony Robbins actually adapted this theory on the 6 human needs from a guy called Abraham Maslow back in the 1940s. So it's been around, and there's some different kind of variations and evolutions of the teaching. And I think it's really, really powerful. So how about we check that out today? I can see you guys are still with me, so it's great. And comment as we go through, and just as I'm speaking, don't wait for me to ask if you've got questions. Please, if I say something that really resonates with you, can you just say, oh my God, I get it. You just spoke to me, whatever your feeling is. Or if you have a question while I'm speaking, just jot it down, and I'll let the questions build up, and then I'll take kind of a natural pause and I can answer your questions. As much as I can't really coach over this medium, because coaching requires a 2-way dialogue, I can give thoughts and opinions, and I can support you to a degree without being able to go back to you and ask you questions. But it's definitely worth you typing them in if you've got them, and I'll do my best to support you. So let me breathe and have some of my chamomile tea. Honestly, I think my hands are shaking from that caffeine I had today. I kind of like it though. It was a good hit. This is good. Alrighty. So there's 6 universal human needs. And let's imagine them like 6 pots or 6 buckets. And we got to fill all 6 buckets. Ideally, we want to fill all 6 buckets to full in a positive way to feel completely fulfilled in life. Like if our 6, and I'll explain what the buckets are, if our 6 human need buckets are filled full in a positive way, then we are thriving in life. If they are not filled optimally in a positive way, then there's a sense that we are just surviving in life, or kind of just making do. So we are aiming, and you're in this community because you want to live a more fulfilled, thriving life, right? So we are aiming, and I'm going to caveat this with huge levels of self-compassion and self-love and patience and understanding, right? We are aiming to fill all buckets. And we are human, and we're not going to do it all the time. But if we understand what the buckets are, and if we understand how remember, awareness is the first step to change. So if we understand how we are filling these buckets, both positively and negatively, that awareness allows us to do whatever we need to do to shift the ways in which we are filling the buckets. So thereby less negative behavior filling them and replacing that with more positive behavior, and noticing that there's certain areas that we're not quite filled up in enough, and we can focus our intention and awareness on improving that particular bucket. Okay, so let's dive into a little bit more detail now. The first 4 buckets are essentially survival. Every single human being needs the first 4 buckets to survive. And then the final 2 buckets are requirements for absolute fulfillment. The first 4 buckets are certainty, uncertainty or variety, significance, and then love and connection. They're the first 4 buckets. So it's certainty, I'm looking at my notes, certainty, variety, significance, and love and connection, the first 4 buckets. How we fill those buckets, as I just said, can be either with positive behaviors or negative behaviors. We're going for positive because positive is self-loving, negative is self-sabotaging. So this, as we check out each of these 4 areas, this is a really awesome process of self-awareness. It's a really fantastic way. And again, like, you can do this work at the very beginning of your personal journey, your personal self-development journey, or years down the track. Like, this is a really good tool to come back to again and again and again to assess where you're at in your life. I personally am at a place in my life right now where I am reassessing these life areas to check out, like, how full are my buckets? I'm realizing that I am really lacking in creativity in my life. I'm really lacking in adventure in terms of travel and having new experiences and learning new things. And I'm readdressing that. And it's interesting because I've noticed how it's really crept up on me that I'm kind of carrying on with life, but not with the fullest conscious awareness on how I'm filling up these first 4 buckets, because I started to feel really quite flat and low and not my usual kind of vibrant, happy, bubbly self. And I'm still kind of there. And it's because, and actually what was instigated, because I went to a life drawing class last Wednesday night in London, and I haven't done any life drawing. If you don't know what life drawing is, it's drawing the human nude, male or female. And I went to this life drawing class last Wednesday night in London, and I haven't done one since I was probably about 24, 25 years old. So I'm 43 now, so do the maths. And the crazy thing is, year upon year upon year, I say I really must do this because I love it. And I remember back in my 20s, it was my absolute soul food. I just freaking loved it. And I can't explain it to you, but it's just something in me. If you sit me down in a room with a big pad of blank paper and give me a tub of charcoal and put a nude in front of me, preferably a really voluptuous, beautiful woman, and some really funky music in the background and maybe a beer, I am so happy. It just makes me so happy. And I know that about myself. And year upon year upon year, I have done nothing about it to get back to that. And there's this class, this opportunity came up, and I went out to London and I did it. And seriously, I was just so happy. It made me so, so happy. And really, it woke up a very dormant part of me. And interestingly, it made me, the next day, made me really sad, because I'd realized how I'd ignored something about me, about the truth of who I am. I'd ignored it for far too long, and I hadn't given myself permission to have it in my life, to have it as my outlet, to have it just as my thing, and it not be a treat, or that it could just be a normal part of my life. And so I'm making it a normal part of my life, and I'm actually, because I can't find a local outlet for this, so I'm creating it, and I've already found the venue, and I'm already lining up the nude models, and I'm going to create a group, and it's going to be a monthly thing. And you know what? If it doesn't exist, create it. I've had this conversation with so many clients that they're craving. I remember a young mom, and she moved out of London into the countryside, and she didn't know anyone locally, and there she suddenly was with this baby, and she was sort of going insane, and she didn't have any like-minded people around her, and didn't know where they were, or certainly couldn't find them. So I said, create it. Just, if you can't find it, then create it. And she did. And it really, really helped her. Equally, working on my own. Yes, I have a team of people, and I'm speaking with them, and I'm speaking with clients regularly. And I run a business. I spend a lot of time on my own runnings, and some it's lonely. And I miss the connection with really high vibe, really awesome, like what I call daring and mighty women. I miss that amazing connectedness. And we're going to get on to how love and connection is such an important human need. I need it in my life. So I was like, right, not finding it, I'm going to create it. So a couple of months ago, I started up something called Daring and Mighty Dinners. And we're just getting rolling. We've got another one coming up this month. And it's, I invited a particular group of people and invited them to bring a +1. So the next dinner, those +1s and the original people will all bring a +1. And so it's getting bigger and bigger. And I'm meeting my people. I'm finding my tribe. We're having really awesome, high vibrational conversations. And I'm creating it because I need it, because I know I need it. So as I go through the first 4 fundamental human needs, I want you to start thinking about, what am I lacking? How am I not getting that in my life positively? And how can I create it for myself? Where can I go get it? Okay, because this is the key to feeling fulfilled. All right. So the first one is certainty. So really it's about, how are you creating certainty in your life? It's a fundamental universal need for survival is certainty. So on a very basic level, it is survival certainty. It's, do I have access to food? Do I have access to clean water? Can I get shelter over my head? Can I get clothes on my body? It is that fundamental level of survival. Okay. So it's that level of certainty. There's certainty around money coming into your life. There's certainty around having friends. Imagine all the different areas of your life where you can get certainty from. And then there's positive ways of feeling certain. And then we can fill our certainty bucket with negative ways of getting certainty. Okay. So going to go back to my book and let's just take a look. So we're on page 42. So I'm just going to refer to this because it's heaps quicker. So positive behavior that could bring about certainty. Earning an income, like I said, ensuring that you're feeding, sheltering and clothing your family. Maybe a religious faith gives you certainty and has you feel fundamentally held and safe, right? Negative behavior that can bring around certainty, a really big one, which I've totally witnessed in myself and seen it in many others, is control. The need to control everything. Like if you know you've got a little bit of that going on, first of all, don't berate yourself because it is a fundamental human need to have certainty. And a really great way of feeling certain is to control situations. It's to control conversations. It's to control other people, to really be that dictator that's controlling yourself. This is where the whole perfectionism thing can come in really thick and strong. And it really doesn't serve us. And it's really fear-based. It's scarcity-based. It's lack mindset. And it's self-sabotaging. It hurts ultimately. It takes a lot of energy, doesn't it, to be in control all the time. So notice, where in your life are you filling your certainty bucket in a negative way, and where in your life, let me just get rid of another notification, right? There we go. And where in your life are you filling your certainty bucket in positive ways? Okay. This is just self-awareness, ladies. So do this guilty. Tina, what are you guilty of? A little bit of control? Yeah, it's okay. I mean, look, a lot of my clients experience the need to be in control. And really, usually when you do some exploration, it goes all the way back to childhood, and it goes all the way back to maybe one particular event or a sequence of events, or perhaps an entire childhood experience of feeling, Tina says, needing to control, right? You're not alone, darling. You're not alone. In our childhood, this idea of feeling unsafe, because as a very small child, particularly under the age of 7, we are so dependent on our parents for our survival. And if there is anything at all about our parents' behavior, without blame, that suggests they're not fully there for you, or they're not fully got their total attention on you, that they're there but not there emotionally, they're physically there but emotionally they're really not quite there for you, or they've got their own stuff going on, and they could be chaotic, there could be all sorts of stuff going on. But for the child, it feels scary because the child doesn't feel like, I totally have their attention, I totally have their unconditional love, I'm totally seen and heard, like I can totally bank on whatever I need, every one of my needs is going to be met. If there's any sense that those fundamental survival needs aren't being met, that has the child feel very unsafe, because the fear of death is very, very real. Okay, remember, a child of that age doesn't have a mental faculty. It can't look at mum and think, because there's no mental faculty. It cannot look at mum and think, oh, mum's here, I know she loves me, she's just a little bit busy right now, or she's got some of her own stuff going on, so that's okay, I'm fine, I'm totally safe. Just because she's busy and distracted or has her own emotional crises going on doesn't mean that she doesn't love me and won't keep me safe. A child can't rationalize like that. A child feels, and therefore internalizes that feeling, feels everything, and just feels like, oh, her attention is elsewhere, doesn't rationalize to understand why that might be, just feels the attention is elsewhere, feels it's not on me, and that feels like death. So as an adult, if you're controlling anything, if there's any level of control going on in your life or manipulation, usually it comes back to something fundamental in your childhood where it didn't feel safe, and you learned to manipulate and control situations to get attention so that you would feel safe. And this will probably come up a little bit more as we go through these needs. I know for me, as a child, I was sick a lot. And although there was medical reasoning for why I was often unwell, I used to get a lot of earaches, I was always getting sore throats. Although like a doctor could explain what was wrong with me and then we would go on and fix it, I actually believe the body can manufacture illness when there's, dis-ease, when there's a lack of ease in your life in any way. I used to get a lot of really nasty migraines as a very, very young child. That's not normal for young children. It was something that I know my body manifested because when I was sick, I got attention. When I was really sick, I really got their attention. Yeah, those of you who are parents know that when your child's sick, it is the way that you are going to drop everything and give them your heart, listen to them, hear them, serve them, be there for them. You will not be distracted by anything else when your child is unwell. Okay, it's a really great way to control the situation, to get attention and to feel safe. So now let's move into the variety bucket. The variety bucket is essentially how we keep things interesting. It gives us a bit of mystery and surprise in life. We all need variety. Variety is awesome. And there are positive ways we get variety, and there's negative ways we get variety. So to refer back to the book, positive behavior that gives us this uncertainty or variety could be starting a new business. Hello, that's welcome to my world. Something I've really taken some time to get used to as an entrepreneur is never knowing exactly how much money you're going to make every month. You never know. You never know what's coming in. Not exactly. You have a bit of an idea. You start to get used to a certain level of income, but you never really know. And in the early years, it took really a lot of bravery to start a business. And any of you who are looking to start a business will know what I'm talking about, wondering, where's the clients coming from? How am I going to pay my tax this year? Et cetera, et cetera. But we need the uncertainty. We need that variety. We need the challenge and the stretch to feel like we're alive and like we're growing. We actually need it. So we actually, as we get better and better at allowing uncertainty and variety in our lives, the more comfortable we get with it. The more comfortable we get with variety and uncertainty, the more actual fulfillment and joy we have in our life. So what other positive behavior is there? Let me just read straight from the book. You can discover your true passion by following your heart and taking a chance, by consciously deciding to take a leap of faith into the unknown. And we discover an excitement of something new that teaches us to do it again. We develop certainty around creating uncertainty, which is the key to overcoming fear. There you go. So yeah, take a look. Like, where in your life are you positively creating variety or uncertainty in your life? And then look at the negative ways. So in here, I'm talking about drugs and alcohol. They're just a perfect example of how we can create variety and uncertainty in our life, but in a negative way. You know, if we take drugs or drink booze to excess, we don't know necessarily how we're going to behave or how we're going to react or respond to situations, right? You take a new drug and you don't know what effect that's going to have on you, and there's an excitement about that. But ultimately, usually the effect is pretty negative. So it's quite self-sabotaging, and it has all sorts of ramifications down the track as well. So we've got to have uncertainty in our life. And part of your assignment is to take a look at how you're filling up that bucket in a positive way, how you're filling it in a negative way. How could you improve, if it needs more, the way that you're filling up the bucket in a positive way, and where do you need to reduce the negative ways that you're filling it? Okay. Again, remember, this is awareness creation. Do this work with a lot of compassion. Alrighty. Now the next one, where are we up to? Significance. This is a great one. There is nothing wrong with wanting to feel significant in your life. Nothing. We all need to feel significant. We all fundamentally need to feel special and unique and lovable, right? We absolutely do. And just before, when I was talking about, when I was a little girl and I used to get sick a lot, when I was sick, I created attention. I got the attention of people. I got cuddles and kisses. I was waited on. I was, I was given my favorite foods, right? And it made me feel special and significant and loved. And we all need to feel like that. And we can bring those behaviors into adulthood. Okay, so this is another piece of awareness creation. How are you creating significance for yourself in your life? What are the positive ways? So, like, for me, positive ways for me to feel significant is, well, as a coach, I do a great job as a coach, and I feel really significant at the end of every single coaching session, because they're always really powerful. And the client will always reflect back to me what change and transformation and new awareness they've had, and they couldn't have had without my support. And that makes me feel significant. And it's a positive filling up of that bucket, because I'm contributing to society. I'm contributing to the growth of that individual person, right? I feel significant as a mom. I feel like I'm positively impacting my son's life. I feel important and needed and special in his life. It's a wonderful experience. I feel significant to my partner because he loves me dearly, and I love him dearly. Right? So there's lots of really wonderful ways that we can feel important and unique and significant. And then there's other ways that we can create significance in our life. Something that I've dealt with in the past, and I've seen a few clients go through, is like an addiction to drama, right? I don't know if you can relate. I remember the first time my coach some years ago said to me, Katie, I think there's a little bit of drama addiction going on here. And that was a whole new concept to me. I didn't know that was a behavioral habit of mine. And it was one way that I filled my significance bucket, because when I was in drama, I got to talk about it with my friends. There was always a drama in my relationships. Always. I was always the one that my friends would be, oh, what's going on for Katie now? And it was like this soap opera, and we all got to talk about it. And the attention and the spotlight was on me. And it's pretty negative, right? It was on me as like, oh, poor Katie. Oh, she's got to put up with that now. Oh, good Lord. It's not fair. And I got to really like, yeah, it's not fair. We all bought into the victim drama story. Yeah, it's not fair, is it? But I became known for that. And I remember one day, it might have actually coincided with doing this work. I remember one day looking at my friendships and with awareness and just sort of generally stepping outside of myself and having that kind of out of body experience, and watching myself with distance and perspective, having these conversations, I noticed how I was creating an experience of being really significant and special by talking about my drama. And yet the actual, then it was negative and self-sabotaging, because it made me feel like shit, really, ultimately, right? Like, it wasn't very nice that I was allowing myself to perpetuate relationships that had me feel like this, and continuing to have conversations where I was the disempowered victim in all the conversations. It was just a behavioral habit. And it wasn't until my coach shone a light on it, because we have blind spots and we don't see what we've been doing or the way we've been living or what we've been thinking for so long. We don't see it because it just is like who we are. It becomes who we are until someone shows us that ain't healthy, or that's really not working out for you, and then shows us how to shift it and change it. Now I have friendships where we have really positive conversations. And even when I'm having a tough time, I can talk about it without that being my way of getting significance and my way of feeling special. It's just a really beautiful exchange of, I'm having a tough time right now, and I'm supported, and equally I support my friends. Generally, the conversations are really light and lifted and inspiring and passionate. And it's about how can we lift each other up more, and feeling significant in lifting each other up rather than feeling significant in being the victim. Can you feel the massive energy shift between the two? So yeah, so this bucket of significance, like, how are you positively creating significance in your life, and how are you negatively filling that bucket? And then the next bucket that humans need to survive is love and connection. It's probably the most important, isn't it? We all want to be loved, and we all need to connect. And the way that we secure love and connection in our lives is, you can only begin to imagine, there's beautifully positive ways, and there's really self-sabotaging negative ways. So take a look. How are you filling your love and connection bucket positively and negatively? Let me give you some examples of positive behavior. Oh, I love this one. Yeah, being moved by music and art. Now that's a big one for me. And actually, when I was saying to you before, one of the things I love is life drawing and having some funky music playing in the background. The two together, the music and the art, is just, it has me feel really connected. It's a creative connection. It's an artistic connection. It's like my soul food. It's a very positive way of feeling connected and loved. You know, my relationship with me, this is where self-love comes in. I think choosing to know and love yourself, choosing to go on this, self-love affair journey, is about filling this love and connection bucket, and filling it in a very positive way from a place of really knowing and loving you first and foremost, and then connecting in with others and loving others. Positive behaviors in this bucket: daring to be vulnerable and committing to an honest and intimate relationship. Yeah, really daring, very powerful. Hugging your friends, petting your cat, Bible study with other churchgoers, connecting in with nature. So that could be surfing or walking in the woods. So love and connection, it's not just with other humans. It's with our pets. It's with nature. It's with art. It's with design. It's with beauty, right? How you get I like to think of it as soul food. How do you get that positively in your life? And I would suggest that most of us aren't doing that enough. We don't really give ourselves permission. And that's, self-love, as you know, is self-responsibility. And we have got to give ourselves permission to fill up this love and connection bucket in ways that are really true to us. Negative ways. Yeah, we've touched on this. It's being sick to ensure someone looks after you and makes you feel loved. Being the victim with lots of issues to talk about ensures you're connecting with others, as I just said. If they feel sorry for you, perhaps that makes you feel loved and cared for. And then there's, if you think about it, a really extreme case is physical violence and abuse, As a child, if you were used to getting a slap from somebody, you know, for a child, attention that is needed to have them feel like they will survive, that attention can be positive or negative. Positive attention is obviously love and cuddles and real nurturing. Negative attention might be a slap, right? Or angry voice, but it's still attention. That child still feels like, right, doesn't matter how I'm getting it, I have your attention, I have your focus right now, so I'm more likely to survive. Now, if you are used to being yelled at and hit, really horrible, isn't it? But if that's what you were used to as a child, it kind of makes sense that as an adult, if that was your way of getting love and connection, which is a fundamental human need, if your way was that as a child, then in your adult relationships, it wouldn't be surprising if you found yourself in mental, emotional, physical, abusive relationships. Okay, so it's a sensitive subject, but it's something to really notice, because you need the love and connection. How you get it either is self-harming or self-loving. All right. So again, awareness with compassion allows you to then do something about it. All right. This is all awareness creation. The first few chapters of the book are all awareness creation, because with awareness, you have all this information and we can do something with it. We can then heal what needs to be healed. But we don't know what we're healing and transforming until we understand how we're functioning right here, right now in our life. Okay. Anyone got any thoughts? By all means, let me know. I'm all ears, and I'm going to just take a sip of my drink. And a quick breath before I go on to the next piece. Okie dokie. So they are the first 4 fundamental human needs, and we need all 4 for survival. Okay. But we don't want to just survive, right? We want to thrive, and we want to feel fulfilled, and we want to contribute to the world, and we want to feel passionate and like lit up, don't we? So this is where the next 2 buckets come in. The next 2, the first one is growth, and the final one is contribution. So growth, as I alluded to, well, not alluded to, as we talked about in the beginning, we are spiritual beings, and our spiritual nature has us want to evolve and grow all the time. And if we are not doing that, we kind of feel like we're dying inside. So this is something that's been going on for me too recently. And it really hit a crescendo on Friday last week for me. And a very dear friend reminded me that we had just had a blue moon and a super moon. So we had a blue super moon or a super blue moon last week. And I'm not the only one. I've talked to a lot of people who found last week really challenging, because it has brought up a whole lot of uncomfortable stuff for us to deal with. I don't know if any of you on the call felt it last week, but I did a very, very vulnerable share on Facebook yesterday, explaining where I've been and how it kind of peaked on Friday last week. And so many people have come back and they've been feeling the same. And you know, I'm not alone. And it was a tough week last week for a lot of people. What it did for a lot of people is really, really highlight where we are not growing, how we're playing small, how we're giving into fear, how we're not living consciously enough, and we're kind of in the day-to-day routine of life, and we are not living in super conscious awareness, noticing all these life areas and noticing, how am I not filling my buckets? You know, how am I not honoring the truth of who I am? Where am I dumbing down? Where am I ignoring the truth of me? Where am I not giving myself permission to be who I am unapologetically? You know, I even noticed that there's certain things that, so I was single for 8 years, and my biggest desire, particularly in the last 2 years of that, was to meet my guy. And I did a lot of incredibly powerful work to call him in. I had 2 coaches to help me. As a result of all of that, I now coach women to call in their soulmates. So I called him in, and it's wonderful. And I finally have my soulmate relationship, and I'm very, very blessed. And I have absolutely fallen into the habit, because historically my habit in relationship was to give of myself completely in the relationship and lose my sense of self. And as much as I haven't done that in the extreme this time, suddenly here I am. I was 8 years single. Here I am in a relationship. We're over a year into it now. Wonderful relationship. And there's so much that I'm not doing for me that I used to do for me, because it was just all about me. And suddenly I'm in a relationship and I've fallen into a pattern of behavior of being focused on the relationship, being focused on the family, and not giving enough focus on who I am and what I need and what I'm passionate about. And it's happened very subtly, and it's crept up on me, and I wasn't conscious to it. And I've suddenly realized that my personal growth, that bucket, although I'm in coaching and although I'm on this journey of always wanting to expand and grow, it hasn't been enough for me. And I've forgotten that I need to travel. I mean, before I met James, I was on an airplane every other month, having an adventure, going to the sunshine, discovering something new, meeting new people. It was very much about meeting people, because I thought through meeting people, I would, in areas that were of my interest, in parts of the world that I loved, that I'd be more likely to meet my guy. Then I met my guy and I kind of stopped doing that. But it's my soul food. It's how I was growing as a human. I've stopped. A really key part of calling in anything that you desire, whether it's your man or more money or whatever it is, a key part of calling in your desires is to vibrate at the frequency of that desire, and to hook into, and we're going to do more work on this much later in these self-love affair lessons, but it's to hook into being that woman and that vibrates with whatever it is, the desire that she's calling in. It's about connecting to pleasure. It's about doing what makes you feel good. It's about absolutely unapologetically indulging in whatever it is that's your soul food. Because when you do that, you are absolutely living the truth of who you are, and thereby your energetic frequency raises, and then you can attract in your vibrational match of whatever that desire is. And I called in my guy. It was like my biggest desire, biggest desire ever known to me. And I did it, and I called it in. And then I kind of stopped being the woman that is focused on feeling good every day, that's focused on indulging in her soul food and her passions and doing what lights her up, because I kind of fell into a very old behavior of focusing on my guy. And what's he doing? What's going on for him? And allowing, as much as I wanted a guy to come in and create plans and like kind of take control, I really wanted that, because I was kind of a bit tired of doing it for myself. I was the one booking the holidays. I was the one figuring out what to do on the weekends. I wanted a guy that would take control and do that stuff, and I totally manifested it. And I stopped doing it for me. And it really crept up on me last week. I am a spiritual, energetic being. I need to keep growing. If I'm not growing, I'm shrinking. Energy, it goes either way. It's growing, or it's and expanding, or it's shrinking and collapsing. I was shrinking and collapsing, and it was killing my soul. And it was very subtle, and it just built up. And now I cannot ignore it. And in a way, isn't that wonderful? Because now I will do something about it. And thankfully, I'm very conscious. But the pain of it really hurt. I really lost who I was. I lost my sense of self, and it really, really, really hurt last week. And it still hurts now. It still hurts, but I'm doing something about it. So this is why paying attention to these sort of fundamental human needs is so important, because when we are consciously paying attention, this stuff doesn't creep up. I allowed it to creep up, and I'm human and I'm fallible, and you know what? Whatever, it's happened. And I'm learning and growing, and I can share as a result, and I'm moving forward. But if we don't keep in conscious awareness of this, we can very, very easily lose a sense of who we are. So growth is a really important one. And the next part of this work is to take a look at how are you growing in your life? And what does growth mean to you? How are you expanding? How are you pushing your boundaries? How are you putting 2 fingers up to fear and going for it anyway? What do you need to feel like you are growing in life and stretching outside your comfort zone? You've got to have it. Okay? You've got to have it. And then actually, before I go on, I can see Karina has left a message. One sec. Karina, this is super helpful. I'm glad. I've been feeling some depression, which is hard for me to admit. I'm a coach and realizing I've been an emotional perfectionist, not honest with how I've been overriding my needs. I have 2 little kids too, plus a great husband. Anyway, I appreciate your transparency and authenticity. Thank you. Karina, darling, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Thought I just covered up my microphone. An emotional perfectionist. High five. Join the club. I can totally be like that. It's a piece that I'm very, very aware of in my own life. And we got to let it go. And I tell you what, when I was honest last week and I had a chat with my yoga teacher and I had a chat with 2 or 3 really good friends, and I really unloaded on James, who's just wonderful. He just listens. He's just such a king of a man. He just listened and understood without any judgment. But when I really opened up with my friends and said so the emotional perfectionist in me, what I had to say felt, it's not necessarily true, but for me it felt shameful and embarrassing to admit how I was feeling and why, particularly because I'm a coach and particularly because I'm a self-love coach. With what I know and what I teach, it felt shameful and embarrassing to have to admit that I dropped the ball, right? But that was the first step to healing it. The first step was wonderful, so liberating, so liberating. So yeah, Karina, darling, I hear you. I hear you. And then let's move on to the final bucket, which is contribution. Okay, so basically what happens is, to feel fulfilled in life, we want to be contributing to the world. And it's a very, very easy bucket to fill when we are filling the other 5 in a positive way. Because when we are filling all of our human needs, that's certainty, variety, significance, love and connection, and growth, when we're filling those buckets positively, we are just, and when they're sort of overflowing, you're welcome, Karina, when it's overflowing, that overflow, that spillover has to go somewhere. And it's like, we don't even have to try. It's like this compulsion to want to support others, to be of service in the world. There's so much good love there. This is why self-love is not egocentric and selfish. When we can fill ourselves up in a really positive way, the overflow goes first and foremost to the people that we love most, the people we care about most. They get it first. So they're getting the best of us. And it comes from a place of overflow. It doesn't come, from absolute abundance. It's so much love. That's where it's coming from. It's not coming from that constricted, tight, martyred, shriveled up. I don't have enough for me. When I give to you, I'm a martyr. It's not coming from that place because we're so filled up in such a beautiful, positive way. The overflow allows us to contribute to the world, starting with the things and the people that you care about most. And we need to contribute to feel fulfilled. If you want to move from survival mode into thriving, the ultimate way to feel like you are thriving is to contribute to the world. So, it's funny, when I'm interviewed quite a lot about my work and people ask me, why did you become a self-love coach? Why the school of self-love? And it's really interesting because as much as I'm absolutely about choice, and having choice is key to your self-love affair journey, when it came to becoming a coach and founding the school of self-love, it kind of wasn't a choice. I mean, I totally choose it now, but it wasn't originally a choice. I didn't wake up one day and go, do you know what? I'm going to go be a coach, and I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to create some meditation albums, and yada, yada, yada. I didn't choose that. It kind of chose me. It was almost like all that I learned, and the more filled up I became, the more I changed my life, and the more I saw a different way of doing life, and understanding that the way most people are doing life is self-harming. And if we could just learn how to love ourselves and lead from that place, that the world would be a better place. I'm like, I have to tell people about this. I have to help other people. And so I'm very, very lucky, because through my work, I get to contribute, and that makes me feel really, really, really freaking good. I love it. I love that I get to contribute. I love that people's lives are changing because of my own life experience and because of the work I do. But I don't have to do the work. I'm not forced to do the work. I do not do this work to pay the bills. No way. There is nothing unfulfilled within me. In fact, interestingly, I can only do this work when I am completely filled up and feeling good, great. I can only do it from that place. It's why, I only take on a certain amount of private clients a year. It's why I only run a certain amount of group programs or retreats a year. I'm not doing it all the time. My calendar is not full, because I need the space and the time for me, to manage my energy, to ensure that I am mastering my own emotions and my own mindset, that I am filled up, so that I can have enough just the overflows and the natural overflow I get to give to my clients, and then they get the best of me, right? So we all need this. We all need to contribute. And so when you are very, very clear, so that's why this exercise is around awareness creation. When you're very clear how you're filling up these fundamental human needs, which every single person has, when you can see how you're positively and negatively filling them, you can do something about it. First thing you're going to do is reduce the ways you're filling them negatively. And usually that's going to require you to address your beliefs and your behavioral habits and how you're managing or not managing your emotions. And that's where coaching comes in, by the way. And you got to heal that stuff to reduce the negative ways you're filling these human needs. And then you can intentionally start filling them with positive ways of having your needs met. And then that all overspills into being of service from a very real, authentic, loving place, not from a place of grabbing or competition or desperation, right? You can just be of service because that feels good, because it's authentically true for you in whatever way it is. For me, it happens to be coaching, but for whatever way is true for you. And it could be parenting. That could be the way that you're contributing. It could be, I could give 5 million examples, but the way you contribute is true to you. And this process of awareness creation also helps you to start to see who you are and remember who you are, reconnect with that. If you have a sense that you don't know who you are, an exercise like this is a really great way of understanding you, what lights you up, what makes you who you are, so that you can go be more of that. That feels really good, right? To be more of who you are, to not have to pretend, to not have to keep up appearances. All that stuff is exhausting and it's not your truth. Okay, so this is also a very, very feminine way of being in the world. It's a very flow state way of being in the world. So I've managed to talk for nearly an hour again. It's amazing, isn't it? How do I do that? I thought these lessons would be half an hour, but apparently not. If you've got any questions quickly before I wrap up, then please do ask me. I'm totally here for you. And to remind you that I am in the process of relaunching my group program called Live Louder. It's a 6-month program. It's for only 6 women. We kick off with a retreat in Portugal, and then we have 2-hour coaching calls every month. So it's 4 hours of coaching every month. And there's a couple of workshops. There's a really powerful emotional expression workshop. And my continued support. You have me in our private Facebook group every single day, there with you, supporting you, coaching you. Like on these calls, I can't coach you, I'm teaching you. This 6-month Live Louder program is where I get to coach you for 6 months. So whatever is coming up for you individually and personally, I can address with you. We can dive deep. We can do the healing. We can transform the limiting beliefs. We can change the habits of behavior that aren't serving you. We can address fear and move you into living life in a way that's good and true. And it's a really powerful journey. And like I said, it's only 6 women. So it's like really intensive, focused support. And all of the women that have done Live Louder in the past have really, really benefited from the group environment, because I mean, absolutely every single time the right 6 women come together, it blows me away how the universe kind of handpicks the right 6 people to support each other. And always what's going on for one person, when she brings something up for coaching, somebody else in the group will be thinking, God, that's going on for me too. And they will get healing through witnessing her coaching, that then allows them to bring up something else for healing. So it's almost like you're getting healing times 6, because what's going on for somebody else is very likely going on for you, because the universe totally energetically attracts the right 6 people to support each other. You don't go through it alone. You have each other. You have me guiding you. In fact, you don't even get just me as your coach. You get 5 other women coaching you and supporting you. And I bring in experts in different fields around meditation and nutrition and other modalities, which are really important for a holistic experience. So it's a really, really in-depth, powerful, full of content program. And it's a lot of fun too. So if you're interested to join Live Louder, it's through conversation with me first. So I'll put the link underneath this video when it's finished. And if it feels good for you, if you just want to know more about it, then let me know and we'll have a conversation. And if it doesn't feel like the right fit, then that's okay. Maybe something else is, or it's another time. But at least let's start the conversation. Okay, so I can't coach you on these calls, but I can coach you through programs like Live Louder. And it's a way of having really high level access to me without private coaching. Of course, if you're interested in private coaching, let me know and we'll explore that too. Okay, well, I loved seeing you guys. Well, you know, kind of virtually seeing you. Good to have you on the call, and I can't wait to teach something new next week. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Keep loving yourself through this. Remember, awareness is the first step to change, and self-love is self-responsibility. Okay, you got this. And yeah, the life that you really, really desire is so totally available for you. Yeah, you're welcome, Tina. Thank you too. Thanks for joining me. Love you lots. All right. Mwah. Bye, guys.